Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Red Devils Disciples in, let's be honest, what was a very tough watch as a Man United fan. But at the end of the day, let's just talk about it a little bit. We're in the chase for the top four, 15th versus 6th place. Brentford versus Manchester United. We know they can score goals. We expected a 3-5-2 formation as we talked about in the preview. Spurs got a late winner with Son. Villa seeing off Wolves, and we have drawn this game 1-1. That's 2 points dropped and tied in the race for the top four, or even the race for the top five to try and get a Champions League spot potentially. And let's talk about the game. In the first half, the start of the game was quite quiet, almost like nothing was happening for the first 17 minutes, and that was first a red flag because I knew Brentford at some point would wake up and start coming at us. I just didn't expect the level of dominance from Brentford that we saw today against us. We're talking about from the 17th minute onward, they took over. They won 50-50s. They won every single corner that came in, every battle, every header. They were just winning everything. And it was almost like we never got out of first gear in the first half. We were just walking around, no real energy, no real desire to get through to it, and try and win the game in the first half. They hit the post where Ivan Toney spun on Lindelof and sort of got away from him. And it was one of those things where they got a clear header that they should have put into the back of the net and they hit the top of the crossbar. It was just all Brentford from the 17th minute. Second half was not much different. Varane got subbed off at the half for Maguire. Potentially an injury. It looked like in one of the last tackles that he made, he injured himself. And let's just start off with Brentford again dominating Man United with a couple counters. It really looked like there was only going to be one winning team today. I'm not going to lie to you. Garnacho got subbed off early for Anthony, which was a bit of a confusing one because you had Rashford on the other side doing absolutely nothing. I would have flipped Garnacho to the left wing, had him have a go on his favourite side. And then Toney scored a goal on the 71st minute, and we were quite lucky that it was offside. Just offside, by the way, might I add. And this was also the first attack where Victor Lindelof had just been subbed off due to a hamstring injury, which not even a minute later Toney went and scored a goal. I thought Lindelof did a great job until that point, marking him out. And then a bit of a switch where we threw in two extra midfielders. We brought off Mainu for Casemiro and we put on Mount in for Rashford and sort of tightened up the midfield. Excuse me. And it looked like we were limping to the 90th minute. How we were not several goals down at this point, I don't know. I don't understand. It was one of those games where it just boggles, how the hell we weren't losing more games, essentially, man. We looked shit. I'm not going to lie to you. It was one of those where, I just think it's absolutely crazy that we turn up, we go and fight Liverpool at Old Trafford the way we did, and then we turn up to Brentford, and then we just play like this, and we roll over, essentially. A bit annoyed, as you can tell, a bit pissed off. And then Mount, 96th minute, it was good to see him on the pitch. Got a great goal, great finish, and for a second, it looked like we were going to steal it. We had, 5 minutes to hang on? Surely we were going to hang on for it. But no, the next attack, we conceded a goal. Ivan Toney dribbled past, I think it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Martinez, squared it off, and Aya, you couldn't miss that, really and truly, unless you hit it directly at someone. Let's be honest. To give you an idea of the game itself, we had more possession, which is, it's one of those things where I'm like, we had more possession, but we play better when we have less possession. It means that we're hitting hard on the counter. We had 55% possession to their 45. We had 11 shots to their 31. We looked toothless. We looked like the international break did us no favours. Honestly, that was a shit game of football to watch a Man United fan until those 2 minutes before we conceded the equaliser when Mount scored. It was crazy. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the starting lineup. We had pretty much the lineup that I thought would happen in terms of whether or not whether or not Martinez was ready and whether or not Casemiro was ready. I thought Martinez may have been ready, but fortunately wasn't. What did surprise me is you see there you got Dalot left and Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back. That was actually switched. We had Aaron Wan-Bissaka down the left side and Dalot down the right side. Why we did that, I don't actually know, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka was almost cancelled out of the game at left back because he's right-footed. Dalot plays better at the left back, so it was a bit of a confusing situation there. Personally, I would have flipped them around. But let's go on to some player ratings. Onana, I thought he had a good game today. Made some really good saves. That 55th minute double save that he made really stands out in my mind. Did well defensively during the game. There's not much he could do for the goal, let's be honest. It was poor defending. Like, everyone was sort of on the line where someone should have closed the person down and not allowed the crossing in the first place from Tony. We had Dalot on the right back. I thought he did okay. I clearly remember one last ditch defender, 70 tackle, should I say, in the first half. Did okay in the second half. Again, not really providing much going forward, which is a bit of a weird one because we're used to Dalot being an overlapping right back that, gets down and crosses the ball and does it, but for some reason that's not happening at the moment. But defensively he was solid. I gave him a 6.5. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, look, he looked out of place, I'm not going to lie, at left back. He did. But he didn't play badly. He just looked like he would have been much more comfortable playing at right back. But I gave him a 6 out of 10. Lindelof, I thought Lindelof was probably our best player on the pitch today. Alert defensively, some really good last-ditch tackles. He got beat by Tony once, but he won pretty much every other battle where he went head-to-head with him, which I thought was absolutely vital. You saw the second that he went off, all of a sudden we were looking vulnerable in there to the centre-back position. It was Martinez that came on to replace him. I think it may just be a little bit too soon for Martinez to be playing in the Premier League right now. Not that it's Martinez's fault that we conceded today or anything like that, but we just as a team looked pretty shit, I'm not going to lie to you. But I thought Lindelof played really well, gave him a 7.5. Then alongside him we had Varane, unfortunately went off at the half, but until that point Varane and Lindelof looked like they had a great partnership. Gave him a 7 out of 10. He was great in tackles, he was intercepting balls, his headers, he was heading the ball and was the one player sort of winning those headers, putting his body on the line, and even getting hurt. And I think the sub at the half was due to an injury. One of the last tackles he made, you could see him hold in and just sort of, he looked like he was hurt at that point. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a tactical sub at the half to bring Maguire, not a tactical sub, sorry, an injury sub at the half to bring Maguire on. I believe the commentators commented on it too. Although Maguire did do pretty well, to be fair, giving him his props. In midfield, Kobe Mainoo, I gave him a 5.5. Started okay and then sort of disappeared a little bit today. I think he was caught off a little bit. Every time he got the ball, he did decently. He didn't play badly, but just didn't really impact the game too much today. He almost had a quiet game. And alongside him, we had McTominay, which I've given a 5 out of 10. I just don't. I almost feel like playing with McTominay in midfield is what we said, either a good game or a bad game. Against Liverpool, he had a great game. And then today, we saw the other side of him where he just sort of. He looks like a baby gazelle when running alongside a player to try and tackle. It's just long, lanky guy who is extremely fit, you can see, and he clearly works extremely hard in the gym to put himself in the best physical condition he can be. But I don't know, there's just something missing there. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's football IQ, I don't know what it is. I think athletically he's a good player. I just think I don't know, something missing. Doesn't really get involved in the game. In front of them we had Bruno, giving him a 5.5. Didn't really impact the game. Had a couple okay passes to open up players, but then it's equally had some really sloppy moments in our third, in our defensive third, where he gave the ball away more than once to sort of create dangerous chances for Brentford. And another day, that would have cost us, and we'd have lost this game. On the wing, we had Garnacho. I've given him a 5 out of 10. Didn't really get involved in the game. Didn't really get the ball. Didn't really attack players. Just wasn't the usual player that we saw. But he also wasn't getting service there. He was drifting over to the left side and into the middle, making runs, but no balls were getting to him. So it was one of those situations where he almost would have been better served sticking out to the wing, trying to get the ball there and going at players there. He got subbed off at the 58th minute for Anthony, which I'm still surprised he's the player that came off, but it is what it is. On the other wing, we had Marcus Rashford. I've given him a 4.5. I thought he was pretty poor today. Not taking players on, walking back, got subbed at the 80th minute. This guy runs to when he sees the defender, turns around and passes back. That's not good enough as a winger, man. You need to start taking players on. Where's the Marcus Rashford of 5 years ago that got the ball and ran at people? It doesn't matter if you lose the ball if you're running at people. We'd rather see you do that than sort of dribble, oh, no, let's play it safe. No, you're a winger. You're supposed to attack fucking players. You're supposed to take them on. You're supposed to have people coming off the fucking seat. Not watching you thinking, oh no, pass back. Fucking hell, man, take the player on. I know it's easier said than done, Marcus. I get it. Get it, Rashi, but I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Højlund in front of them, I've given him a 5.5. That might be kind. He just never really got the ball in places where we need him to get the ball. The only times he got the ball when he was coming in deeper with his back to goal. And then he would lose a lot of balls, lost a lot of the battles there. I think it's one of those things where we need to develop him with his play, with his back against goal and his hold-up play. He struggled against a very strong and physically strong Brentford team. You know, his first real chance came the 54th minute, which was a great save by the keeper. You know, he could have easily put that in the back of the net, but keeper made a great save. But he really struggled today to get involved in the game, and it's a bit of a shame because, you know, just before his injury, he looked like he really was kicking on to something really good. Subs wise, okay, so we had Maguire came on the 45th minute. I thought Maguire actually played decently today. I'm not gonna lie. He was winning headers. He was battling out there. I thought he played well when he came on for Varane. Anthony came on for Garnacho. Just non-existent, really. Not really trying to change the game. I'd rather have seen a Diallo. Unfortunately, he was suspended. But seeing a Diallo come on, he at least attacks players. And if Anthony was to come on, he had one good chance. I know he had a good opening. I would have almost wanted to see Garnacho flip to the left side and probably have Rashford come off, to be honest. Or Rashford to the striking position and have Rasmus come off. But my choice would have been subbing Rashford off. Then we had, I think it was around the 70th minute, Lindelof got injured. He was holding his hamstring. Licha came on, which, you know, it was good to see him get some minutes. Probably not the type of game you want to sub him on though. You almost want to sub him on when you're like 3 or 4 goals up and give him a bit of a run around there. He looked slightly off pace. Almost like he's not got that sharpness, that match fitness yet, which is understandable with the fact that he's been out for so long and he's had multiple surgeries in the last year, you know. But again, he did okay. Again, I think he's the type of player, he's going to need a little while before he comes back in and plays properly, you know. Maybe against Chelsea he might start the game, give him another week. 80th minute, we subbed on Casemiro and Mount for Mainu and Rashford. I thought it was a job to then solidify the midfield and sort of tighten up. I think it was one of those where he knew we were getting overrun and we weren't careful, we were going to lose the game today. And he probably thought that we could steal a win with those players in there if we could hit on the counter attack. We've got the talent there. You know, these are top players that can win Man United the game. It just wasn't. It just looked like we limped to the 90th minute, even with the subs. And again, shout out to Mason Mount, who scored a great goal for Manchester United. I thought it was good to see him on the pitch, and hopefully a sign of great things to come from him. But to score a goal and then to 2 minutes later concede a goal because you're asleep and not paying attention, and just get the ball fucking away, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, just get the ball away. But it is what it is, It's 1-1. We were lucky to get away with it. I'll be honest with you, it should we don't deserve a point today. But then, yeah. So I predicted a 3-1 score line for us. Like I said, it was 1-1. It's one of those situations where it's a weird one, right? Because we were almost lucky to be in the game at that point and not be goals down. But then when we scored, we were a little unlucky not to hold on to it for the last 5 minutes and take all 3 points. So, being honest, Brentford would have been hard done by to not take anything from this game. I feel like it would have been an injustice to them, the way that they played and the way that we played. Yeah, in terms of the 3 points that I gave at the start of the game, like I always do, I said set pieces were going to be big. You saw it with the way that the amount of corners they got, the amount of players they throw in there, and the amount of headers they win. And I said everyone needs to know their roles. I actually thought we did okay in terms of man marking. How we kept them to no goals, considering that we had 31 shots conceded, I don't know. Yeah, it was what it was. I said get the first goal, which we did at the 96th minute, which was crazy. From not having any goals scored to all of a sudden in 2 minutes, just near the end, to having 2 goals just like that. I think we were poor, to be honest with you. We should have been trying to get a goal from the start of the game, and we just didn't take the game by the scruff that we never got out of first or second gear. That's not good enough in the Premier League. You're not going to get wins by doing that. And then the third thing I said was, they have some pace there on the counter. We found this out last year when we lost 4-0 when we played away against them. It was one of those things where they didn't even need to use the pace on the counter, because whilst we had possession, they were still dominating the game. It's almost like, yeah, it was a tough one. Put it that way. I'm going to end it there, guys, because it was a hard watch. As a Man United fan, I feel like there was just no fucking fire. There was no passion. There was no... Fucking hell, Man United, take the fucking game by the balls and just, dominate the other team. But it's not happening right now. And I know we're not there yet. But if we want to get Champions League football, we need to fucking find it before the end of the season. Otherwise, we're going to end up playing in the Europa League. And not even the Europa League, because if we're not careful, we're going to end up playing in, what's that shitty Conference League thing called? Which we may not even be allowed to play in the Europa or Champions League if the ruling doesn't change with regards to owners having a share in more than one club in the same competition. But yeah, we were lucky to get a 1-1 draw today. Simple as that. We were lucky to get a 1-1 draw. When we scored the goal, we should have fucking held on to it and taken our 3 points. Disappointed, annoyed, a little bit pissed off, not gonna lie. Chelsea next. We need 3 points. We can catch Spurs still. Spurs have a big month next month. But that top 4 situation, not looking likely anymore, guys. Today's, I think, is one step too far. But we keep believing right till the end, because that's what we do. We're football fans, and as football fans, we dream, right? Anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you next time.